So, when we go to the Aristotle's way of communication, you have different stages. So, what you have a speaker. So that's the one and the most important in the Aristotle's model is the speaker, the most important. And the speaker is conveying a speech, is giving a speech. So to any occasion or anything. And then you have the audience, the group of people, and the group of people is normally listening. And then you have an effect. So whatever is spoken, there's an effect out of it. It is linear, means the sender, the speaker, is conveying information to the audience, the receiver. Linear. There's no feedback. The audience does not necessarily give feedback to the speaker. So that is used a lot in speeches, public speaking. And normally there's a certain effect the speaker wants to have, what the speaker is focusing on. And in regard of that, we can say that it's mainly focused on speaker and speech. It can be broadly divided into 5 primary elements also, which is speaker, speech. Then we have what is in the middle, the so-called occasion. Which is actually the target, what everything is around. Then we have the audience and we have the effect. So 5 elements. When the Aristotle's communication model is used, then normally it's really revolving around the speaker as the main concept of this theory. The speaker plays the most important role in communication and is the one or the only one who holds the responsibility to influence his or her audience through a speech. So this, for example, is a lot used in congresses, in conferences, because you have a huge audience. But it's also used, for example, if you address parents. For example, if you have a school and you have a school opening and you give a talk, then you address the entire parent group. And so this is what you do. That can be in a small group also done. Like, for example, in the beginning, it's very useful that you plan a speech or a meeting with the parents where you first have a speech. So the first section is a speech where you welcome everyone, where you tell them about the organization or the school, about the concept. And then normally what you have prepared, you have some major events that will be coming up during the year, some scheduling, some dates the parent should keep free, where you invited maybe to some events, you speak about the schedule, about the bringing, the dropping, the leaving, the picking up, how all of this is done. So mainly you're conveying information to them, and the occasion is that you want the parents to understand how the entire organizational and administrational system works. The administrative part also works, so that you can make sure that everyone is informed. So for this, normally you invite all of the parents. You can do it classroom by classroom, or you can really have the entire audience, whatever you want. This can also, in preschool system, also be combined. So you can use the Aristotle's approach and then move to a different approach, maybe to a transactional model from a linear, if you want to have some engagement and some feedback. But that part would only be on the speaker's level. The speaker is giving a talk to the audience is passive and it's influenced by the speech, get some information. And that makes normally the communication process one way from the speaker to the receiver. So in that regard, it's very important that when this kind of speech is done, that the speaker really organizes very well the talk. Yeah. So that is really important. So the speaker has to have very clear information about what occasion is it. So let's say it is the first parenting meeting, all of the parents of the classroom are invited. And now the early childhood teacher who is responsible for the classroom should give a speech. Means they should give all of the basic information, short introduction of the team, should give some information on the pedagogical concept and curriculum that is used, some information on the events during the year that are happening where the parents are invited, some information on rules and regulations which parents have to follow. You see, I structured it already in parts. So it's really important that it's not coming like saying something about the curriculum, then speaking a little bit about the rules, then it's going back to the introduction of the team, then back to the rules, and then it's going to the events, and then it goes back to the curriculum. That would not be very useful. So it really has to be structured. So that is really important for early childhood teachers also to practice, because you have to be able to really have to make a good speech in front of the group of the parents. So this is where you would maybe use the Aristotle's approach, the model of communication, so that you can really address according to the target audience and situation, which is called the occasion. Even if the model is speaker-oriented and focuses on audience interaction in communication, there's no concept of feedback. So what you can do, you can also drop some questions. For example, do you remember where you should pick up the children or your child? Then you leave a small gap and then you answer it. So you're not really waiting for the feedback. So you ask a question, but you are planning actually to answer it. You pick them up in the hall. Yeah, so this is how you build it up, how you structure it, and it's important that you have a structure. You can use some questionnaire. This draws the attention of the people always back to you, so that their minds are also with you. What you could also do is you could get some feedback. For example, if you say, how many of you had already one child in a preschool or in a different preschool who has already experience with this kind of setting? You can have them raise their hand, but it's not that you want them to really interact, because otherwise the structure is not there and the entire model there's a remodeling happening and you might get sidetracked. So if you want to convey some information, you do this. Please keep in mind that the concentration span of most adults in such a way of talk is about 15 minutes if they're not super receptive, because they really want to know every word, and if the speaker is not really very good, then after 15 minutes you get sidetracked. So this is why we always try to keep our videos also quite short and do more of them also here, because this is more linear communication, even though they are longer than 15 minutes. So if you need a break, just take a break. You always feel free, please, to do that. But some concepts are really transmitted to you in whole, so we do not want to separate it too much, but still know that sometimes you might lack out some information because it's either too long, the entire video, or you get distracted or something. Simply go back, watch it over and over again. Okay, so this kind of speech is something that we use, especially in parenting meetings where we want to give an information to the entire group. It can also be used, for example, if there's a team meeting and all of the colleagues come together. It could be that the principal gives such a talk. It could also be that one of the team members gives a talk about a topic. Sometimes when you have a very interactive team work, it could be that one person is preparing some talk on a specific topic, another person is preparing a short talk on another specific topic, so that everyone gets information and not each and everyone has to study the content by themselves. So, for example, if you want to do something like a toy redacted playground, and you have one person study it and just convey the most important information that you need to use that method, then all of the teachers have it. So that would be possible. Keep in mind, should be really short. Try to keep it around 15 minutes. Don't exaggerate, because it will be not so easy for people to follow. So it has to be structured and it has to be clear. The speech must be clear, as well as the speaker must have a very good non-verbal communication with the audience. Like, for example, eye contact. It's really important that you see and that you also notice if someone is not understanding something. So if you have the audience in front of you, this is really into the camera without anyone. but in the parent meeting, you have the parents there. You can see that someone looks confused. You have to notice that, and you have to address it. So you have to repeat it. Don't go into questions. Don't ask anything, because that will distract you, and you might get into a dialogue with that person and all the others are bored. So, but you still repeat what you said. You say it slightly different to see that that person also can go with you. At the beginning, it's always good that you say, if there are any questions, please make a short note, and we'll give you time at the end to really answer also the questions. Yeah.